All right, so let's jump into this world of family vloggers.
Okay.
Specifically, the case of Ruby Franke and her YouTube channel,
Yeah.
8 Passengers,
Mm-hmm.
which, believe it or not,
Right.
had almost 3 million subscribers at its peak.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a case that that really gripped the public, didn't it?
It did.
8 Passengers. At first glance,
Right.
they just seem like the quintessential happy family, right? Sharing their daily routines, homeschooling adventures, all those seemingly wholesome moments.
Right, right.
But then Hulu's docuseries Devil in the Family came out.
Yeah, and kind of blew everything up.
It painted a very, very different picture.
Yeah, it was a shocking contrast.
Yeah.
Right.
Huge.
You have this carefully curated image of family bliss online,
Mm-hmm.
but behind the scenes, the docuseries uses like over 1,000 hours
Wow.
of unseen footage
Okay.
to reveal a much darker reality. Did you find it as disturbing as I did to see Ruby withholding food as punishment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or like berating her son
Yeah.
for what seemed like pretty minor things?
I mean, those incidents were definitely unsettling.
Right.
And what I think is so striking
Yeah.
is how often they seem to stem from this need
Yes.
to maintain that perfect online facade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost as if the pressure
Yeah.
to perform for the camera amplified her.
Yeah.
Disciplinary methods.
As disciplinary methods.
Yeah,
Okay?
pushing them into, I think, a much harsher territory.
Much harsher, for sure. And it's really the impact on the children that gets to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as if their entire childhoods were staged for the viewers.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
In the docuseries,
Mm-hmm.
Ruby's eldest daughter, Sherry,
Right.
talks about having to film those, like, quote-unquote, happy segments
Right.
after being punished.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine having to force a smile for the camera
Yeah.
when you're hurting inside?
I mean, it's heartbreaking.
It is.
And it really,
Yeah.
it really highlights the potential psychological toll of growing up in such a controlled environment.
Right.
It's like their lives were turned into this carefully edited narrative
Totally.
where any genuine emotions were
Yeah.
sacrificed to maintain a certain image.
Exactly. And that's where Kevin Franco's perspective,
Right.
Ruby's husband, becomes so crucial. Right. He describes feeling powerless to stop Ruby's obsession with their online image.
Wow.
It adds this whole other layer of complexity to the story.
It does. Absolutely.
Doesn't it?
Kevin's testimony, I think, shed some light on the dynamics within the family and the pressure that he was facing.
Right.
It seems like he was caught between wanting to protect his children
Yeah.
and feeling unable to challenge Ruby's control over their online narrative.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And then we have Chad,
Okay.
another one of Ruby's children, who shares his experience of living in constant fear of the camera.
Oh, wow.
He talks about knowing that any misstep
Yeah.
could be broadcast to millions of people.
Right.
That's got to be a heavy burden for a child to carry, don't you think?
It's a stark reminder that children, especially those in the public eye,
Yeah.
are incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
They're often unable to fully grasp the long-term consequences of having their lives documented and shared with the world.
Right. And in this case, the consequences became very real in August 2023
Okay.
when the situation took a really drastic turn.
Right.
So a 12-year-old boy, who we later find out is one of Ruby's sons,
Okay.
escapes from Jody Hildebrandt's home.
Okay.
Jody was Ruby's business partner.
Okay.
And the boy ran to a neighbor's house, revealing the abuse that was happening.
Oh, my God.
And what's even more disturbing is that when the police arrived,
Yeah.
they found the boy malnourished
Oh, wow.
with duct tape on his ankles. And his sister was discovered in a similar state.
Oh, goodness.
It's horrifying to think that this was happening behind the scenes
Right.
while the family was presenting this picture-perfect image online.
Yeah, it makes you question everything you see online, doesn't
That
it?
really does.
How could this have gone unnoticed for so long?
I know.
I mean, with their constant online presence, shouldn't someone have picked up on the signs?
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's a question that really haunts this entire case. How
Yeah.
could so many people have missed the signs?
Right.
But I think it speaks to a larger issue.
Oh.
We, as a society, are often quick to accept these online personas at face value, especially when they're presented with, like, such conviction and carefully curated perfection.
Yeah, it's like we want to believe in the fairy tale.
Totally.
The happy family, right?
Yeah.
Living their best life.
Yeah, yeah.
And we become almost complicit in maintaining that illusion.
Right.
By, subscribing to their channels, liking their posts.
Right.
Sharing their content.
Totally.
Exactly.
And that's where the docuseries takes a really important turn, I think.
Yeah.
It shifts from focusing solely on Ruby Franke's case
Yeah.
to exploring the broader ethical dilemmas of family vlogging as a whole.
Right, right.
It really makes you step back and think about the bigger picture.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
It does.
Because this isn't just about one family's downfall. Right. It's about an entire industry built around sharing family life online and the potential for exploitation that exists within that model.
Absolutely. And one of the most powerful points that the docuseries makes is that children often can't truly consent to being content, especially young children.
Yeah.
They may not fully understand the implications of having their lives documented and shared with the world.
Yeah, that is kind of unsettling when you think about it.
It is.
Their childhoods become a commodity in a way.
Right.
Packaged and presented for views and likes.
Right.
And that raises a lot of questions about who benefits from this exposure.
Exactly.
Are the children seeing any of the financial gains?
Right.
Or are they simply pawns in their parents' quest for online fame and fortune?
It's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
To grapple with.
Yeah.
But I think it's one we need to be asking ourselves as consumers of this type of content.
Yeah. Where do we draw the line between sharing and exploiting?
Right.
Is there a way to do family vlogging ethically?
Yeah, the docuseries certainly doesn't offer any easy answers.
Right.
But it does highlight some key considerations. Like consent, privacy, and the potential for long-term psychological harm.
You know, it's interesting because early on in 8 Passengers, there were already hints of potential issues. Like Ruby talking about controlling her children's access to, like, technology and food.
Oh, wow.
As a form of discipline.
You know, those early glimpses into her parenting style definitely foreshadowed the darker aspects that were revealed later.
Right, and it raises the question of whether we, as viewers, should have been more attuned to those red flags.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to dismiss those things when they're presented within this carefully constructed narrative happy family.
Right.
We're often drawn to these idealized versions of family life.
Yeah.
And we may overlook or downplay any signs of trouble.
Right. It's like we're all looking for that sense of connection and belonging. And these family vlogs offer this glimpse into a world that seems both familiar and aspirational.
Right. But the Ruby Franke case reminds us that we can't always trust what we see online.
Right.
I need to be more discerning consumers,
Yeah.
more critical thinkers, more willing to question the narratives that are being presented to us.
Absolutely. And I think that's especially important when it comes to content that involves children. They're the most vulnerable in this equation.
Yeah.
And we have a responsibility to ensure their well-being is prioritized.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that behind these carefully curated online personas are real people with real lives and real emotions.
And those lives shouldn't be exploited for views or profits.
Couldn't agree more.
The docuseries doesn't shy away from showcasing the emotional toll.
Right.
This experience has taken on Ruby's children, particularly Sherry and Chad. Their testimonies are incredibly raw and powerful.
Yes, they are.
Sherry's quote about their truth being edited out until it couldn't be anymore is particularly haunting.
Yes, it underscores the importance of listening to the voices of those who have been marginalized or silenced.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it reminds us that we can't just passively consume content.
Right.
We have a responsibility to be active participants, to question what we see, and to advocate for more ethical practices in the digital age.
It's about recognizing that the pursuit of online fame and fortune can have a dark side, and that the most vulnerable among us are often the ones who pay the price.
It's a sobering thought, but it's a conversation we need to be having.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think this case provides a valuable opportunity for us to reflect on our own relationship with online content.
Right.
And to consider how we can use our voices
to
create a more responsible and compassionate digital landscape.
You know, it's interesting, right? this whole case with Ruby Franke seems to like tap into this much larger cultural phenomenon.
For sure.
This need to curate the perfect online persona.
Yeah, it's like we're all constantly performing for this invisible audience.
Right.
Just seeking validation through likes and shares and comments.
Yeah, totally.
And that pressure to project a certain image can be so powerful.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's almost like we've become addicted to this idea.
Of presenting this carefully edited version of ourselves to the world.
Right, and it makes you wonder about the psychological impact of that constant pursuit of online validation.
Right.
You know, what happens to our sense of self when we're so focused on portraying a specific image?
It's like we lose touch with our authentic selves.
Right.
Caught in this cycle of filters and carefully staged moments.
Yeah, and that disconnect can have real consequences, you know, for our mental health,
for sure,
our relationships, our overall well-being.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah, that's the big question.
What can we learn from Ruby Franke's story and apply to our own lives?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like this whole world of online content.
Well, I think the first step is awareness.
Okay.
Recognizing that what we see online is often a carefully constructed narrative.
Right.
And that there are real people with real struggles
behind those curated images.
Yeah, it's about being more discerning consumers of content.
Absolutely.
Right, not just taking everything at face value.
Exactly. We need to be more critical thinkers.
Yeah.
More willing to question those narratives that are being presented to us.
Right.
And consider the motivations behind those narratives.
And I think even more importantly, recognizing our own role in shaping this digital landscape.
Yes.
Right? We're not just passive observers.
We're not.
Our clicks, our likes, our shares,
yeah,
they all contribute to the demand for a certain type of content.
Absolutely. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the entertainment aspect of it all.
Oh, yeah.
But we have to remember that there are real children involved.
Right, right.
Children who often can't fully understand the implications of having their lives broadcast to the world.
So what responsibility do we have as viewers to protect those children?
Yeah, how do we?
To make sure that their well-being isn't being compromised.
For views or for profits?
It's a tough one.
It is.
It's a complex issue, no easy answers.
Yeah.
But I think it starts with being more mindful of the content we choose to consume and being willing to speak out against exploitation when we see it.
Yeah.
Using our voices to demand more ethical practices in the digital age.
Create a space where children are protected and their voices are heard.
Exactly.
And maybe, just maybe, this case with Ruby Franke can serve as a catalyst for change.
Yeah, I hope so.
You know?
I hope so too.
A reminder that we need to be more thoughtful, more critical,
Mm.
and more compassionate
For sure.
in how we engage with the online world.
Couldn't agree more.
That's a powerful message, and one that I hope resonates with our listeners.
Me too.
You know?
Yeah.
Before we wrap up,
I
want to leave everyone with this one thought.
Okay.
The Ruby Franke case.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale, but it's also an opportunity for growth.
I think so. It's an invitation to engage in a deeper, more meaningful conversation about the ethics of online content, the power of narrative, and the responsibility that we all share in creating a more just and compassionate digital world.
Couldn't say it better myself.
That's a great point to end on. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope this deep dive has prompted some reflection, maybe even inspired you to be more conscious consumers of online content.
Yeah.
Remember, we all have a role to play in shaping the digital landscape.
Absolutely.
Let's make it a space that is both entertaining and ethical.
I love that.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
keep learning,
and keep diving deep.